So we're joined on the program by virologist and chairman expert review committee on COVID-19, Professor Oyewale Tomori. He joins us live from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, via Zoom this evening. Well, Prof, I'm glad we're able to finish our conversation from yesterday, but then some things have changed since we spoke, one of which is the official discovery of the Omicron variant in Nigeria. We'll talk about that, but I recall we also spoke about the visit of a South African president and what you expected Nigerian government to do. So seeing that this visit has happened, what are your reactions?
Yeah, I mean, the governments have decided. It doesn't mean that they are right in their decision. That's number one. But for me, what I will look forward to is that day two, after the arrival of this team, they are tested like the normal protocol is. And I pray none of them is positive. If any of them is positive, then we begin to see the problem of reason why we're saying they should not come.
Well, so to the Omicron variants, the NCDC had first referenced retrospective sequencing of samples collected in October in an earlier statement which was released today. But then that was said to be an error. And it said, they were referring to the Delta variant. So some sort of, back and forth here and there. But the NCDC says they have started contact tracing, isolating the travelers, try to get them access to care and all of that. So seeing this, some of these responses, would you say we're in a good place to get a handle on this Omicron variant?
I think, well, now they've started. But you see, even before this came, remember we talked about this yesterday. We knew from the report that came out from the Canadian side that Nigerians who left here, tested positive over there. That was when we should have started. We should have gotten in touch, just like you are informed other countries. We should have gotten in touch with the Canadian government, traced all those families. The contact tracing would have started from that time, when we knew those 2 people were positive, or 3 or 4 of them that got into Canada. I was asking some of the people, say, well, we don't know how to travel. Whenever you travel, it takes you less than 24 hours to get to any part of the world today. So the fact that we knew that was when we should have started our contact tracing, not now. We should have gotten information from the people. Where did these people come from? When did they leave Nigeria? And those other things. Then we can begin the contact tracing. The day before, they said, oh, so far there's no evidence of Omicron. Then the following day, we had this information, and we now had 2. For example, we don't know, we need more information. When did they come in? What dates did they come in? Those are the kind of things we're doing. Where have they been since they came in? Have they been in isolation before you tested them? How soon after they came did you test them? These are points that I think this is what requires minutest detail, paying attention to the minutest details. And that's the only way that can save you. That's what is called preparation. The other things they're talking about, panic, that's not the thing. When you go into this type of situation, that is what we call precautionary method, taking every aspect, looking at all the details in particular. Where did this person come from? Where did he travel from? What time? And who has he been meeting? If he was in self-isolation, did he maintain self-isolation? How many people has he contacted since he arrived? These are the issues that we're raising, that we need to pay more attention to this issue.
So the coming days clearly will be critical for Nigeria in getting a handle on this. So one of the points we need to reiterate time and again, and I think the NCDC has spoken about that, is surveillance through testing and sequencing. But we're not making a headway in terms of testing, really, because a large number of people that test are perhaps travelers or people who can afford to pay for testing. Whereas in other countries, you've seen governments giving out rapid tests for free. They call them lateral flow kits and the rest, so they can better monitor this. So is that hard to do here, so we can sort of know where we are?
You touched the point, and we've been saying it. We cannot be depending only on those who are sick, who are then going to test, or those who are traveling out, who are then going to test. But given the nature of our country, a lot of those people who get out, travel out of the country, they go out with fake results, and they are being tested, found positive when they get into those countries. So we need to do like other people are doing. It's not just contact tracing of those people. We need to go beyond those who are sick. You remember, 60 to 80% of these people are not asymptomatic. So we don't know whether they have it. So we need to go into the community testing so that we know exactly the depth of the problem we have. We need to monitor, analyze the data we're getting. How much of those who are traveling out, how many of them are positive? What information are we getting from those who are coming in? Are we analyzing them? Are we seeing a rise? Are we seeing a drop? These are things that we need to constantly monitor and use to plan where we are going. Waiting for 4 days, 10 days after the person has come in. How many are you going to take to a contract of somebody who came into the country a week ago? How many people does he remember he has seen? But if you handle the thing day 1, day 2, then you know his contacts. These are the things that other countries are doing. You mentioned countries are giving new testing methods. You can test yourself and then be able to know. So when you are positive, report to your country. That is the direction for us to go.
And you know, another point, another direction that we've tried to tour is a path of vaccination. So we've had series of reports from people who have been turned back at vaccination centers. In fact, the reports we showed earlier referenced people who said they went for vaccinations, but they were turned back for lack of vaccines, some for lack of codes. And this is coming after the government actually said we have so much vaccines that what we need are just arms of people to be jabbed. And it raises a concern why we seem to be dropping the ball in these critical areas. But we'll go to break quickly, Prof, and we'll get you to respond to this. I mean, why do we seem to have a disconnect between we have a lot of vaccines, but people visit those centers and they don't get vaccinated? And some other issues we'll touch on in a moment. But please stay with us, Prof. We'll be back. You're welcome back. So let's continue our conversation with Professor Oyewale Tomori, virologist and the chair of the Expert Review Committee on COVID-19. So I was talking about vaccination. So we have the government, the PSC, saying we have millions of vaccines, and you see people trooping out to vaccination centers, and what they hear is, sorry, we don't have vaccines available. Come back in 2 weeks' time. Sorry, we don't have the codes. And these are people who got their first jabs. And recall that government said if you've got your first jab, then at least you're sure you have a second dose because it's been kept. Why do you think there's a disconnect, really?
I think it's the same thing that has happened to us in Nigeria. Lack of planning, consistency in the things we do, seriousness in what affects our life. A lot of the errors and things they are finding, you can give us of excuse you like. We shouldn't be giving excuse now. How long have we been vaccinating people? How long will it take for vaccines not to be at the vaccination site? Those are the things we should begin to look at. How do you as an individual perform when you're given an assignment to do? How did the boss monitor those people? Those are the reasons we're getting what we're getting. There's absolutely no reason why any station in this country should, at this time, have no vaccine if we say we have the vaccine to give to people. And you remember they are focusing mainly on government workers. At this time, by now, I mean, everybody should have been, in fact, first of all, to those people who are waiting until today to get jab, I blame them. I don't blame the government for that one. That's their fault. They were given enough time to get the vaccine. You may say they went there, they didn't get, but they should have complained. Secondly, let me also make one point. The fact that somebody gets vaccinated today at the secretariat, it still doesn't make him fit to go to work because immunity does not develop until about 10 days to 24, on about 10 to 14 days. So the fact that you got the vaccination today does not give you the license to go to and work in the office. Go and wait until you develop your immunity or you get your second dose. So these are some of the complications of what we're doing when you don't plan properly.
Oh, quite interesting contradictions there. But so let's try to project into the future. If indeed this Omicron variant is potentially as dangerous as perhaps the Delta variant or more, how long till we start seeing a spike? I mean, there are fears of a fourth wave. We're not sure if the Delta variant will be responsible for the fourth wave or the Omicron variant. But how long till we start seeing a spike if indeed this is really dangerous?
First, it's a bit difficult to predict time. It depends on human behavior. If our people go back to wearing their mask and keeping it safe distances, avoiding these large gatherings, I'm sure we can strengthen it out. This peak may not be as high as it is, but it depends on human behavior. The virus is already here. The fact that we're detecting it now does not mean that it arrived today. I mean, if you go and look at the story about COVID vaccine, you remember South Africa had been the one reporting it. There was a report in the newspaper today that they found the Omicron in Netherlands in November 19 or something. And then they said, oh, Africa reported. The point is that Africa reported on the 24th. It does not mean that was the day they found it. Go and check the records. Way back, as far back as November 1918, even November 11, Botswana had already reported a case of people, diplomats, who traveled supposedly, as we said, from West Africa. So let's face the situation on hand. We don't know what it's going to be. It depends on us as individuals, you and I, making sure that all those people who have abandoned masks, please go back and wear your mask. We don't know what the Omicron is going to behave like. Nobody knows. We're still watching. It may be mild, it may be serious. So please wear your mask, and that will determine whether this fourth wave will be high wave or no wave at all.
So it's literally in our hands. We'd like to thank you so much, Professor Oyewale Tomori, virologist and chairman of the Expert Review Committee on COVID-19. It's always a pleasure to tap into your wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Cardi. It's my pleasure.